In my opinion, this price segment is extremely competitive, and that has to do with how saturated the market is at an entry-level luxury price point. Some of the watches we're talking about today are over $2,000, but I promise you every watch we're going to talk about can be found at $2,000 or even just below. What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony and this is Watch With Me. Today we're going over a brand that's almost 200 years old and responsible for making some of the most collectible and sought after vintage watches in the world. And we're talking about Longines. Before we get into some of the pieces I want to highlight, of course, a wristwatch check, and I am wearing my Rolex Daytona. Truth be told, I actually haven't been wearing this watch that much lately. I don't know if I'm falling out of love with it or just realizing that how good the Submariner is and it goes with every outfit and every situation. I've been wearing that a lot. But throwing this on, this is my second day in a row wearing it. And yeah, I remember why I bought it and why I love it so much. But enough of my watch, let's get into Longines. So as I mentioned, Longines makes so many watches. In my opinion, maybe too many watches. They really classify them in 5 different collections. There is Elegance, Classic, Watchmaking Tradition, Sport, and what we'll be talking about today, the Heritage Collection. First up, we have the Heritage 1945. I absolutely love this piece. Now this piece was made in the 1940s, but when it first came out, it was very, very small. It wouldn't translate into a modern men's watch today if they recreated it at the exact same size, around 32 or 34 millimeters. So they decided to make it a little bit more friendly to a 40 millimeter size, and you know what? It works really well. The watch, as I said, is an automatic and is the caliber 609, which is an ETA movement. Now a lot of the Longines watches, or almost all of them, are going to use ETA movements, being that Longines is owned by Swatch. It only makes sense. The ETA movement that this one is the 2895-2, a fantastic movement that's going to give you over 40 hours power reserve. One of my favorite things about this watch has to be that beautiful kind of silver champagne dial, and then the blue heat treated hands absolutely pop. One of the great things about Longines, and at this price point, is normally the strap would be a bit of an afterthought. It would be some piece of crap strap that you would have to replace, but you're paying more for the watch. Not with the Heritage Collection. This strap is a beautiful suede strap that you would find on this watch in the 1940s, so it fits the look perfectly, and it's a really well-made strap. Obviously a sapphire crystal, water resistant. This watch, if memory serves me correctly, Ben Clymer of Hodinkee was actually wearing this watch at Baselworld, where he was approached by Longines asking if they could borrow this watch to recreate it. That's one of the amazing things when you're a company that's almost 200 years old. You're not going to know every piece you've ever made in the past, so they constantly looking back into the archive and researching their own history and recreating some of these pieces. And now more so than ever, with the rebirth of vintage watches and recreations and reissues, it's so popular, and a brand that has this much history, it's unbelievable. In this price point, you're not going to find a brand this old. And the best part about it is this watch is $1,800 at full retail. So whether you're going pre-owned or you have a great relationship with a retailer, I'm sure you can get it for a little bit less. But that being said, this watch is every bit worth $1,800, and I think it's a fantastic piece. If I could change anything about this watch, perhaps I think it would be a bit nicer if it was a brush case versus the high polished, but very small change that I would personally do. Next, we have the classic 38mm sector dial. I love a sector dial, and I love that when they decided to recreate this watch, they kept it under 40 millimeters. It's unlike the piece that we first talked about. At 38 millimeters, this watch wears very well on the wrist. And let's face it, the star of the show is this beautiful silver sector dial. It's been well documented. I am not a fan of watches with dates, so I love that this watch has no date. It's a very clean watch, and just like the first piece we talked about, this piece dates back to the 1930s. If it was an absolute re-edition and not a recreation, it would probably be around 32 millimeters, but I think having it come out at 38 millimeters is the perfect size. It's a very appreciated watch from Longines, and the price comes in at around $2,100. And like I said, you could probably find this just below that. Very cool watch that I like quite a bit. Next, we have the Skin Diver. And out of all the watches that I'm talking about, I find that this one is probably not priced the best. This one is priced at $2,600. It is a 42 millimeter dive watch with a PVD bezel and a stainless steel case, obviously a sapphire crystal, an automatic ETA movement, but one of the beautiful things about this watch is the texturing of the dial. They really know how to make a fotina or whatever you want to call it, but they do it in a subtle way where it's not in your face trying to be an old watch. And you know what, at 42 millimeters, I want to say that a dive watch, this is probably coming up to being too large, but you can see on my wrist, it wears really well for 42 millimeters. It is a thinner watch for a dive watch that I really like. This does come on the black silicone strap or brown leather strap, but obviously you can change it to whatever you like. I love the fit and finish of this watch. And one of the great things about Longines, especially the Skin Diver, is this is a watch that's not going to be on everyone's wrist. I mean, how tired are we of seeing, you know, an Omega Seamaster or a Rolex Submariner on someone's wrist? Go against the grain, avoid the herd mentality, and go with something a bit more unique, especially at a great price point, and that is the Longines Skin Diver. Last but not least, a watch that I have talked about on many different occasions because I think it's hands down the best watch that Longines has ever created, and that is the Big Eye chronograph. When it comes to a pilot watch, I think this replicates everything you want in a pilot's watch. There's no date, it's extremely legible, pump pushers, 41 millimeters. So under that 42 millimeter mark, it is slightly thicker, but this movement is awesome and unbelievable for this price point. Price point is around $2,600. Where are you getting an automatic Swiss movement with a column wheel for this price point? It's unbeatable. Not to mention, just aesthetically, this watch is beautiful. This watch in 2017 won the best revival of a watch at the GPHG, which is essentially the Oscars of watches, and this won best revival in 2017. And again, I'm going back to the price, but you can have this watch for under $3,000. I mean, this is a watch that is extremely collectible, looks really great on the wrist, comes with a fantastic strap, a great movement, sapphire crystal, and it's going back to a piece they made in the 1930s. So that's pretty much it for the Longines watches. I'm only talking about a small selection of watches that I really like, but as I said, they have 5 different collections. They make so many different watches. If you haven't really given Longines a fair shake at it, go and take a look at their watches. They make many different designs, whether you like something a bit more modern, something a bit more dressy. They have something for everyone, and they're fantastic watches. They're backed by Swatch, so they have their technology, and they really cement themselves as one of the best entry-level luxury watches in the world. Not to mention, their vintage watches are unbelievable, and you can even see Alfredo Paramico on Talking Watches on Houdinki showing off some of them. But that is it, guys. I hope you like my list. Do me a favor, write down below, what is your favorite Longines watch, or do you own one? Or perhaps, what is your favorite watch brand under $2,000? Am I completely off at thinking Longines is probably one of the best? Let me know down below. I'd appreciate it, guys. But that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It lets me feel much better about creating videos. But that's it, guys. Until next time, take care.